President Obama's landmark nuclear deal with Iran could face a tough challenge in Congress, which has 60 days now to approve or reject it. Weijia Jiang explains from Capitol Hill where the Obama administration officials are trying to win over those skeptical lawmakers.
Secretary of State John Kerry led back-to-back closed-door briefings in Congress, hashing out details of the historic deal to curb Iran's nuclear program. The Secretaries of Energy and Treasury joined too, a heavy-hitting team trying to garner support.
This is a day we've been looking forward to because we get to really talk substance. We get out of the politics and into the facts.
But opponents, including Israel's ambassador to the United States, are fiercely lobbying lawmakers to reject it. Some don't need convincing.
In fact, by the time this deal expires, the rogue regime in Tehran will have an industrial-sized nuclear program.
Speaker John Boehner vowed to defeat the bill in the House.
Because a bad deal threatens the security of the American people, and we're going to do everything possible to stop it.
President Obama has already threatened to veto any bill that prevents the agreement from going into effect. If Republicans override that veto, Iran could abandon the deal, as its parliament plans to vote around the same time.
This is a good deal. It does what we set out to do.
Votes to approve or reject the nuclear agreement are expected in September. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
To break this down a little bit more, we're here now with Dr. Dave McIntyre. He's been a teacher, writer, speaker in the field of national homeland security for more than 20 years. He's certainly sat in this chair a few times. He's a fellow at the George Washington Center for Cyber and Homeland Security in D.C., and he teaches homeland security right here at the Texas A&M Bush School. Dr. McIntyre, thank you so much for being here with us. You're clearly the person who can help us understand this a little bit better.
It's a tough situation. I'll do my best.
Absolutely, and we know that there is a lot of information. So could you start us out by just breaking this down to the essentials?
Yeah, let's just, I guess fundamentally the question is, Iran is going to get a nuclear weapon. It has, we've worked against it for many years. There's some speculation about whether we work with the Israelis. There have been assassinations of a number of their scientists. There's a release of a virus that destroyed some of their equipment. It looks like now they're eventually going to get the weapon. So what do you do about that? And who is it that's going to have the weapon? Iran itself is sort of split, it's sort of bifurcated. There are people who seem to be moving toward being a reasonable, responsible, you could work with them as a partner in the international community. And then it's got a part of their governing body that is absolutely irrational and says on a daily basis, when they get this bomb, they're going to use it against Israel and maybe the United States. So who's going to govern when they get the weapon? That's the core question.
And that core question where we're looking at a little bit is that there is such a stigma on Iran, right. But is this the same nation from 20, 30 years ago? Do we know?
Well, that's the key question. I mean, there's the core. Clearly, they were the leader in radicalization at the time. They took our embassy throughout the Shah, radicalized many parts of the Mideast, and they were our primary enemy all through the Iraq War. Let me tell you, probably more American soldiers were killed when those that were killed and wounded, maimed by roadside bombs. Those were by and large Iranian-produced, Iranian-designed roadside bombs. So they've been our enemy for a considerable period of time. The question is, on this huge issue, if they get a nuclear weapon and it looks like they're going to use it, won't it drive everyone else in the region to try to do the same thing on this huge issue? Is there a body at the core of Iran that we can deal with reasonably and rationally as coherent government leaders, a member of the international community, or not? That's essentially what Secretary Kerry and the President are testing right now.
Are testing and trying to find out.
That's exactly right.
Hopefully they will soon, and hopefully it'll go the way we want. The members of Congress and the people in the nation who are against this, what are their biggest issues with this?
Well, their first and fundamental issue goes right to the question you just asked. Can the Iranians be trusted? And the answer is clearly in the past, not. It's very hard to deal with a person when senior leaders in their government stand up on a daily basis, chant death to America, and promise to use this weapon. It's very hard then to negotiate with other members of that government. On the other hand, what are our other options? The first is war. And let's not kid each other. We are talking about if you try to bomb the Iranian sites, we're talking about bombing the sites on the premier terrorist government in the world with a huge organization and a lot of training in place. So you would definitely be going to war. There's no question about that. A second option is sanctions to squeeze them so tightly that they feel they have to give up some of what perhaps the weapons themselves. But of course the sanctions were squeezing, and the president had to sort of give those up in order to get them to the table. Now they're at the table. Here's the core question. Will this group of people, can they produce a rational, coherent government that can be trusted in negotiations to abide by what they've signed up to? Well, that's the question.
That's the question, and the question that those members of Congress are asking. And if those members of Congress vote no and this deal doesn't work out,
right,
then will Americans be looking to those members of Congress to say, okay, what do you have better?
I think Congress, any member of Congress right now is in a real jam. If they say no, then the president will say, I did my best. I tried to prevent them from getting the weapon. Whatever happens next is on your hands. And I think the president can make a strong case. On the other hand, if they feel strongly, the members of Congress feel strongly that this is a bad mistake, that you cannot trust these people, that they will hide what they're building, and they vote for it, and a bad thing happens, then again, once again, the stink is on them now because they said yes when their hearts and their heads told them no. They are in a real spot. If they vote no, we are kind of in uncharted territory. What happens next? And of course, it's going to happen just as we begin the run-up into presidential campaigns.
It's a tough time to be on the floor of Congress or in the Oval Office. Dr. McIntyre, thank you so much for being here with us, giving us a little perspective on this.
Good to talk with you.